What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin today. It is the 30th day of October, and here we are sitting at about 109.4K with 11 hours and 47 minutes left in this day. From a low to a high, we've retraced all the way down to the golden ratio, hitting a low price of $107.99 thousand dollars. You know, hitting the golden ratio like that and having the reaction we're having now it does give me confidence that this is the low. And this is definitely not what we expected, right? We were expecting that we'd move up into the 29th and the 30th, and then we'd sell off afterwards, right? We did expect to sell off, but we thought that we'd be at higher prices. I definitely thought by now we would have interacted with, at least 117K, if not higher prices. But whatever, man. Sometimes we do, and if we go back in time, we look. Sometimes we do top off right before the FOMC announcement. For whatever reason, maybe it's because jobs data is not as favorable, so people are taking a hit from that. But I don't understand why crypto's taking a hit while the S&P is living life to the fullest. You know what I mean? So crypto's just in the slums right now. That's really the reality of it, unfortunately. But we are soon to move up, right? We did this analysis the other day, and I want to just do this briefly here, actually, in case anybody missed this. But we can put let's do total. Come on, why can't I? Come on, total 3S right here. So total 3ES is the total crypto market cap excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum and stable coins. Okay, so this is effectively your altcoin market cap. Oh damn it, I did it on the same price scale though. Let's try this again. I'm gonna try this one more time. Okay, here we go. Total, nope. Wow, I just woke up. Can you guys tell? Total 3ES. Why do I keep doing this? Hold on. New price scale. There we go. All right. This was not supposed to take this long, I promise you. Looking at the weekly time frame, putting this in log, okay, and then zooming way out. So this is the S&P 500, and the blue line is the total crypto market cap excluding stablecoins, Bitcoin, and Ethereum, right? If you notice, during our last cycle, 2021 here, during the COVID crash and everything, we had this massive phase where, let me see here. Oh, and this is not in log. Okay, we need this to be in log. There we go. Need it both to be in log. We had this massive phase where stocks kind of grew at an unprecedented rate, right? And crypto grew with it, right? We were both moving up together, just like here, where stocks are growing at an unprecedented rate and crypto's growing with it. We're both moving together. But the big move happened after some time of this growth, right? I'm equating where we are now in crypto, right? Because this is our crypto chart. This is the S&P 500 chart. I'm equating where we are now to where we were about like right here, right before the big move happened. That's genuinely what I think is going to happen, because here we were consolidating at the top of this overall consolidation phase in the crypto markets, and then we broke out. We're kind of doing the same thing here. We're at the top here, post incredible movement in the stock market, but no movement in the crypto markets. I think that we are about to see some very bullish things happen across the space. But again, focusing back on Bitcoin here, because that's the main thought of this video, is from a low to a high. That golden ratio is really nice. It's a really nice bounce. It's a good area to find support. The goal now is to get a day, just one day, to close above about $113.2 thousand. If we can close above $113.2 thousand today, tomorrow, next week, whatever, we validate whatever low we've put in, whether it's this low, whether we've gone lower in that time, whatever it might be. This line is the line to watch. You want to validate whatever low it is that we have, $113.2 thousand, close above there, okay? And this is on the crypto index chart, so give or take $100 depending on what exchange you're using. Binance and Coinbase, they don't always have the same price on Bitcoin, so what's 113.2K for this chart could be 113K for Binance or 113.3K for Coinbase. It could be different. Anyways, zooming in, and actually I want to leave this up here. Let's put the 1 hour time frame in there. 109.3 now. Yeah, that is a very positive reaction that we had off the golden ratio. That's exactly what you want to see. However, unfortunately, we found resistance at the 382, which when you're working your way down, this is actually a very common dynamic to have. So the fact that we've gotten below the 0.5 would make me think that we do go lower. Let's look at our indicators. It would, genuinely right now, just looking at this without any other details, I would say the statistical probability that we at least return here, let alone going to the 786, 886 itself, is very high. So that would mean prices below 108K are likely. Prices below 106K are even something to consider. Yet I don't believe we'll go below Well, we could even go barely just below 105K, like we barely went below 108K here. We could. 786, 886, this is really the primary zone, unless we find a double bottom here in this area, which, again, is not the likely outcome, but it happens. It does happen. Let's look at the indicators and see. So the RSI is sad. We can see there's a little bit of a rounding of a bottom here, which is nice to see, so there should be some momentum shifting here. Typically with the RSI, you get these downtrends where you have lower lows and lower highs, but you've definitely shifted into a sideways trend now. And then typically those sideways trends shift into uptrends with the RSI. Typically, not always, but let's just see if we can find an example of that happening, right? Like here, you had a downtrend, and then you moved sideways, and then you turned it into an uptrend, right? This is a little bit more, let's say, exaggerated for what I'm going for here. You know, I think this sideways trend won't last as long, hopefully. But I am expecting that we phase up here pretty soon. However, with that being in the sideways trend, we could come down to the oversold zone again. You look really bad right here. This is like prime bearish strength. It's like this is prime bullish strength here when you're moving sideways above the 50. That would definitely make me think that you move lower. So let's move lower. Let's form some bullish divergence, hopefully, where we do get a lower low, yet a higher low. This RSI, I have to say, is giving me hope that we do actually find support in the golden ratio. So that's nice. 108.2 to 107.4, somewhere in there. That sounds about right to me. Very likely that we get a 1 hour time frame to close below here, below about 108.6K. After that hour closes below there, after we get an hourly close below 108.6K, I would assume that we then move up. I think today we will recover. I really do. Stochastics are pointed down. We'd likely go down. MACD sucks as well. So yeah, I mean, you do have bullish divergence, but I think that's what this move was here. I think that's exactly what this move was here. Looking at the 4 hour time frame, zooming out a little bit more. The RSI, let me delete this stuff. The RSI is showing bullish divergence already, which is very nice to see, right? Overall, I think this RSI is very positive. It's very healthy, clear that we are trending higher, and I think that we're going to prevail with that, right? Higher lows, higher highs. I think that's what we're going to prevail with. But at the moment, you are bearish, right? You're rejecting the 40 after bouncing off the oversold zone, coming lower. You could see a lower low in the RSI. Some people count on bullish divergence, and then as soon as it goes away, that's when they close their long positions. That's whenever they panic sell, and then boom, that's actually whenever we move up. Let's see if we can find an example of that, right? Like, let's see here. That was some bullish divergence there, so that doesn't count, right? Like something like this, where you have a low, and you have a higher low here, and you're still higher low, but then as soon as you get a lower low, boom, that's whenever you actually moved up higher. Yeah, I'm pretty confident just looking at this. I feel very confident that we do find support between the price that we're at now and most likely somewhere between about 107.4 to 108.3, somewhere in there. I do think that we will, but just keep your minds open. Keep your, I don't know, keep your depression levels at a low level. Even if we do go down to 106.2 to 104.9, it's fine. Okay, we can find support there. It's actually very common when finding support at the golden ratio, resistance at the 382. It's very common to go to this area, find support, and then move out of there. Okay, don't worry about it. Let's see. MACD, I'm a little bit disappointed in the MACD. I mean, we're really at an area to bounce, but if we do go lower, the MACD will start to cross. We'll see what happens, but if we are at a point to bounce, how much time do we have left in this day? We've got 12 hours left effectively. I would think within the next 3 candles or so, we should be bouncing. So if by the end of the day we're not moving up higher, I suppose the likelihood that we do go below 106K is it increases. It definitely increases. Stochastics have bullish divergence. We're actually at an area to bounce here as well. You're really at good areas to bounce across all of these indicators on the 4 hour time frame. So I'm just hoping that by the time you guys watch this video, we are seeing some life in the markets. Perhaps we've come down to this 108K level again for one last little drive, 107, 108K there, and then we move up in that time. I hope that's what happens. Maybe I'm wrong entirely. Maybe we don't actually go below this hourly closing low. Maybe we don't go below this low at all for a double bottom. Maybe we're finding support right here. I don't know. But at the moment, I'm sticking with the idea that we do go a little bit lower first before we move higher. Daily time frame. Zooming out, looking at this, still very confident, very, very confident in Bitcoin's abilities to break out of this overall consolidation phase to the upside. And what gives me that confidence the most is the fact that if we're looking at this with our trend lines, our handy dandy trend lines here, I can't talk, man. I just woke up. I'm telling you. You can see that this is undeniably, this is a megaphone pattern, right? And with megaphones, whenever you get these things called partial declines, where you reach for this trend line, but you can't, there's a little space there, you can't quite get it because you're not bearish enough, or you're too bullish, whatever it might be, this typically signals that you are getting ready for a breakout to the opposite direction there, right, to the upside. So you wouldn't get a partial decline and break out to the downside. That's less common. It's not that it's never happened before. I've seen it happen. It does happen, but that would call then for Bitcoin to break below, about like 96K or something like that, which I'm not calling for. I don't expect to happen. I do expect we will break out to the upside and likely see $150,000, if not more, in the month of November. That's the plan, right? This pattern is what ultimately gives me confidence that this was the low, that no matter how low we go from here, we're not going below that low. And again, if we take this low to high, I mean, we just bounced right off that golden ratio. It's perfect. It's quite literally perfect. So go lower, go to the 786, 886. I don't care. Hold up at the golden ratio for a double bottom. I don't care. Regardless of what happens, I think over the coming weeks we are going to move up higher. That is the expectation. There is some, let's see, what FOMC meeting dates. List all, yeah, let's do that. There is some talk spreading around x.com or floating around x.com. I don't know, whatever the proper word would be, that the last 3 FOMC meetings in a row we've actually moved down afterwards. So I want to look at those. September 16th and 17th. Let's see. September 16th. 17th was the announcement day. So we did pump afterwards, but we did dump afterwards, right? We did have a little dump down. July 29th, 30th, so it would have been on the 30th that we had that announcement. July 30th, right? We did dump down afterwards, right? We had a little dump. And then May 7th. May 7th was that announcement. Because they won't compare the ones before this, right? July. That's not right. Right? Am I missing? June. Okay, June 18th. I was like, I skipped a whole month. June 18th. It's every 6 weeks. Hold on here. June 18th. I just want to set the record straight because this is what people are showing. And people do this. They tend to, let's say, fudge the data, right? The last 3 in a row, that seems like it's fair, but let's go to the one right after that, right? What about May 7th? Why do people not include May 7th in this? If you don't know what I'm talking about, again, let me just say this again. On x.com, there's people that are saying, hey, the last 3 FOMC meetings in a row, we've dumped. And we have. You can see here from this FOMC meeting afterwards, we dumped. But let's give this thought a little bit more. And I'm trying to encourage people to not panic sell the low here, because after the last 3 FOMC meetings, we dumped. Look at how much we dumped. Here we are. Are we going to dump more? Right? No, probably not. I mean, probably not by much. If we were to take a high from the meeting or a high after the meeting to the low of this dump, we measure that. We do the same thing here. We take the high and we put it at the low after that. And then we do the same thing here, high to low. Put this over here with our dump that we've got right now, and you'll see that the dump we're actually going through is pretty right on par with these other dumps that we've seen the last 3 times. So even though the FOMC meeting happened just yesterday, I would argue that perhaps we don't need to dump as much afterwards. Perhaps we dumped beforehand because analysts might have been aware that we dumped the last 3 times already. So this dump that we've seen is already priced in. That's my perspective that I'm taking right now. And that's what I'm seeing in the charts, is that if we go a little bit lower, it's just going to be a little bit. Like it's literally, we're not going to get below this level here. You know what I mean? It would just be a little bit, this little bit here that we dumped. That's it. That's that little bit extra. And to be fair, when drawing it that way, that would promote the biggest dump that we've seen around FOMC dumping times, to be completely fair as well. If we take the most recent one, May 6th, May 7th, I just wonder, because it's every post that I've seen. Well, I really can't talk today. I can talk. I'm a great speaker. Every single post that I've seen that talks about the last 3 FOMC meetings promoting a dump afterwards. It only talks about the 3. It doesn't talk about the May 6th, May 7th. So May 7th here, the anticipation's killing me. May 7th right here. Boom. That's because, wouldn't you know it, Wouldn't you know it? That's because we pumped afterwards. What about the one after that, right? What about March 19th? March 19th here. March 19th. Wouldn't you know it? We actually pumped after that one as well. We pumped, the week for about a week afterwards. We did dump afterwards. In all fairness, too. Um, but that's how people do it. Again, it's on you as a investor, as a analyst. Whenever you hear things like that on X.com, and I'm just wondering, can I see it here? Is there a post? I'm not seeing here. I love this post. What happened to you? That's what happened to you, crypto bulls. What happened? Um, it's important to do your own research and don't just take it. I thought it was strange that they only did the last 3 FOMC meetings, and I made a bet with myself. I'm like, I bet the 4th one. That's because we pumped, and we did pump right after that meeting. So I think that getting back to work here, getting back to reality, just phasing out this FOMC stuff. We had interest rates being cut announced yesterday. Trump and Xi met today, and they had a positive meeting. Things went good. Sounds like things went good at least. Markets are dropping down, but not really, right? Just crypto's dropping. The stock market is moving up. So I think we're in good shape. I really do think that we are in this phase right now, the same as we were here right before, right when stocks were moving up, crypto were moving up a little bit together after a massive crash, right? Moving up a little bit together after a massive crash. And we're right at that point where alt season is about to kick off, right? Right where we're about to break out of consolidation, right where we're about to break out of consolidation here. I would equate very much where we are now to where we were back here before the big lift happened, okay? Stocks are moving up. Things are positive, right? Don't let this short-term price action confuse you, okay? We are moving higher. We have higher lows. We're in a megaphone pattern at the top. Bullish signals suggesting that we break out. And the measurement of this pattern from a high to a low, and we take this low, not the Scamwick low, would put us right at $154,000. It puts us right there. That's the measurement. And that doesn't mean that we have to hit it. We can reach and then fall short. We can reach and extend. We can hit it on the dot, consolidate for like a week or two, and then continue to rally, But that's ultimately why I'm bullish, why I'm not worried here, and I don't think anybody should be. I'm kind of curious. Let's end the video real quick with this fear and greed index, though. I want to see what the fear and greed index levels are. And while that's loading, maybe we can look at the liquidation levels. Over the past 7 days, shorts have decimated the longs. You saw what it was before then, right? Decimated the longs. Absolute carnage there. 30-day time frame. Come on now. Longs are gone. They're absolutely decimated. We have over $20 billion in shorts again, you guys. Man, I wish I said this in the beginning of the video, not at the end, because do you know what happened the last time we had over $20 billion in shorts? Do you guys know what happened? We were down here. Do you know what happened the time before that? It was here and here and here. Every single one of these lows, we've had over $20 billion in shorts. Okay? Yeah. To be fair, that's still a lot of longs, and maybe we do move lower and clear them out. I mean, again, we would clear out a lot of these at about 106K. A lot of them get cleared out right there at 105, 106K. There's like 4 billion out of the 7.8 billion that would get cleared out. Maybe we do push just a little bit lower, and if we do, that's okay. All right, don't freak out. Over the past 24 hours, we have definitely decimated the longs. Yeah, the shorts are ready to get reamed, and they will. Just have to be patient, okay? Fear and greed index, people are fearful still, right? We're in the 34, we're in these low levels. Perhaps a final push down to about 106K, 105K would be what gives us those red levels in fear. I don't know. But I hope it doesn't give you fear, right? I hope you see it for an opportunity, for what it is. I highly doubt we go below this low, but can we go a little bit lower? Sure. At this point in time, I do want to just say again very clearly to wrap up this video, I very much do believe that we are going to hold 107K. I think what we're going to see is some kind of double bottom off of this golden ratio zone. That's what I'm expecting. But if I'm wrong, based on what I've seen in the charts, if I'm wrong, 106.2 to 104.9K, that would be the target. And then we bounce from there, ultimately getting above $113,200 on a daily closing basis. That is what validates whatever low we have, and that we are, in fact, ready to break out of this zone. I would think that the next time that we return to this area here, we do break out. Why? Because we've already interacted with it twice, right? We've already had 2 interactions. I would think that the next interaction is the one that breaks us out, right? That's the expectation there. So I'm sure a lot of people are crapping their pants off right now because from a low to a low here, we've broken out of this trend line. People think that means that the trend is broken. Oh no, we're no longer in an uptrend, but that's not true because we still have low here, higher low, and we have higher highs. We are still absolutely in an uptrend. We would still be in an uptrend even if we went as low as about $107.1 thousand. But as soon as we get below about $106.8 thousand, that's whenever the uptrend is over. And might that be exactly when we bounce? Because again, at that level, we're clearing out. We still have a higher low overall, and we're clearing out a ton of longs that have been piled on over the past 30 days, ultimately building more shorts and fueling that fire to the upside. So ultimately, I think we're in good shape. We might have to wait a day or two, but probably over the next week or so, I would think that we do move up. Tomorrow's the end of October. I am expecting that the beginning of November will promote a little bit of downside as well. So regardless of what we do over the next couple days, maybe we move down, maybe we move up, whatever. But in the beginning of November, I would think that we move down a little bit. So just be prepared for that. But overall, I think November is going to be a very bullish month. I think it's going to be incredibly bullish, and we will see $150,000 or more by the end of the month. I got nothing else. Hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all. Take care. Bye bye.